All right, so in this lesson, we're going to overcome and talk a little bit more about how to come to a clear consensus with clients at the end of the pitch or presentation to label and weed out all indicators, which is usually time, value, or price, before you enter into the close. So this is the portion of the call where every closer expects to get good at right away. The reality is that you have to build up to the end of the call, and as you've framed it in your discovery, your only objective is to get the prospect to understand that you are now here to make an informed decision to better their business or specific circumstance. Getting very clear with the prospect on how we are the best chance to reach X destination faster, and that we're going to push the best outcome that best serves the prospect as we've overviewed over the entire call. Let's get into some real life examples. If I was an advertising/marketing agency driving more leads to a mortgage company, you would outline the current lead flow and the constraints that are present and how, with your process and team, they will achieve more volume, control, authenticity into their pipeline. Gearing towards the end of the call, the prospect should be completely confident in your process. With that being said, of course, you should be able to outline the strategies that, if it is in a position that will allow you to completely outbid all existing implementations they had before. And in order for them to make a decision, you have to clearly ask them, if we implemented X into your business, do you see how you can progress towards Y outcome? If the client still doesn't quite get if the client still doesn't quite get what it is that you're trying to do by the end of the call, you need to be doing a better discovery process, because you sound like every other lead gen company then. If you handle those objections and obstacles earlier, it will be put to rest and you have less resistance for them to make a decision. Let's say in some circumstances they are in agreement that we could potentially be a good fit, and we frame the closing portion of the call towards asking them that if that would be the reason, if we implemented this rainbow-like unicorn strategy today and get things started, how do you ensure that you can isolate to one single variable, which is how to make the shoe fit, which is usually the one, last variable, which comes down to price and enrollment. I like to make sure I've done this at least 1,000 times, and I know what works for me in our process. My mental roadmap is that I like to create a checklist that I don't have, again, any surprises of value, time objections that magically appear, because I've taken my time to get to this portion of the call, which is closer and client versus problem. I like to get them to understand that this is going to be a calculated based decision on pure information and proof, and that they are only confronted with the last variable that stands, and that is price. Once you can get the prospect to ask what the price is, that is clearly the only thing standing between them and the exchange. So getting into a little bit more as to how this process works, the way I frame it goes as following. So just reeling back to the beginning of the call, we clearly stated that the only issue and constraint in the business is that you do not currently have a consistent and predictable lead flow that can allow you to track week by week. And if we helped you track that process, you would get more congruency in your business. Do you know how if we implemented and got you onboarded today through this process, that we can go ahead and potentially launch your campaign? Prospect? Yes. Great. So we're on the same page. And I said my only objective is for you as the business owner to come to an informed decision that you can clearly see yourself from one position to the ideal position. If we were to scale things out and have this pillar, would it be safe to say that we can discuss a little bit more in regards to our onboarding strategies? Yes, it can't hurt. Let's take a look at your plans. On my end, I would say, like I said before, we will figure out what makes the most sense together. I'm making sure the best decision is made for the business. And again, as we're enduring this process, we can make sure that there is no constant disturbances so we can get the best outcome. You have to hold the prospect's hand and not push them through decisions, but you have to hand them the keys to the door and let them open it so both of you can walk through together. The importance is to remember that sales isn't brute force, but your ability to understand people and how they want to solve their problems. That's how you create consistent, fair exchanges in your offer.